Hello and welcome. I'm Farhan, your host for the day. I hope you're all doing well. Today we'll be discussing about IT GRC or IT Governance, Risk and Compliance, a strategy for managing an organization's overall governance, enterprise risk management and compliance with regulations. The agenda would be to discuss all the aspects of IT GRC and understand how it can be transformed into business advantage. We would also be answering the questions from our audience. Our session today would also linger on COMPLYment, a unified IT GRC solution by Skillmine. More on this would follow in the course of the webinar. Before we begin our discussion for the day, let me give a brief introduction about Skillmine and the team behind it. Skillmine Technology Consulting is a new generation IT software company. The company lays its focus on IT services and solutions. Within the IT security services, IT GRC is one of the core service areas of Skillmine. Now let me introduce the speakers for the day. Mr. Anant Agrawal, Director, Skillmine. Hello, sir. Welcome to the
Hello,
live
everyone.
session.
Hi. Pleasure to be here.
Anant Agrawal is one of the directors of Skillmine. He spearheads customer engagement and delivery at the company. One of the key aspects his work focuses on is IT security services. Anant has over 25 years of experience in IT services sector. The second speaker of the day is Mr. Manikandan Gopal, Enterprise Security Analyst, Skillmine. Hello, Manikandan. Welcome to the show. Mr. Manikandan works in the areas of cybersecurity, vulnerability assessment, and risk management. He has been instrumental in the development of Skillmine's bespoke IT compliance solution, COMPLYment. Mr. Anant would be taking us through all the important questions concerning IT GRC, the need for IT GRC, the challenges IT GRC helps in resolving, and the difficulties businesses face in its absence. Before I let Mr. Anant Agrawal take charge, let me once again thank you all for tuning in. Let's begin without further delay. Over to you, Mr. Anant.
Right. Thank you, Farhan. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good morning for some of the people who are in other parts of the world. Before we start this session, I probably wanted to have 5 minutes to open this session to the floor, to generally talk and understand if anyone wants to share any particularly key challenges or any pain areas which normally head of organizations, CIOs, CISOs face in managing the cyber risk, the cyber security, compliance related issues. Anybody wants to share any thoughts?
Am I audible?
Yes. Hi, Siddharth.
Hi,
Anant.
Yeah, good to hear you as well. Also, there is a pain point that I am facing or my organization is facing. And the pain point is we are a group of laboratories, the critical infrastructure in Germany. And to ensure our cybersecurity, we must implement kind of a seamless solution or any type of small scale SOC, you can say. But because we are so small entities that we cannot afford a 24/7 for every laboratories. So do you have any kind of solution wherein small scale laboratories can have their own monitoring system which works 24/7?
So there are two aspects to it. When it comes to any SIM solution, I mean, the SIM or the security incident and event management solution or services are one of the clog in the wheel, which will help you to meet your IT compliance or your cyber compliance requirements. There are a lot of those. There are 2 or 3 options. First one is you need to have your own SOC, which a small lab company may find it unnecessary, overbearing to do. There are options for you to go into shared SOC services. The Skillmine does provide a shared SOC services whereby we have our own SIM solution. We use primarily 2-3 of them. related to QRadar and logarithms of the world. So that can be used as a shared services model, which you get the solution, but in a shared services to ensure that you keep on getting monitored. And the third option is for you to have, depending upon what your threat vectors are, there are cheaper solutions also available depending upon the device and the EPS per second. So there are options available if you want to do something on your own, or you use a shared services with a third party service provider like us or anybody else.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth, for that question. One of the things which I have been hearing from a lot of CISO friends is specifically, see, the overall IT security regime. One of the things within the IT GRC field is that a lot of work in the IT GRC happens in Microsoft Office. So whether you're doing policies on Word, and then you are doing tracking in Excel, and you are using emails to do meetings and manual evidence collections, and collating all of this to ensure that yes, you are COMPLYment, and most of the things happens manually. The second pain area is that GRC is kind of an overlooked function, and it gets importance probably a couple of months when an audit or a compliance audit is getting approached, or a certification needs to be submitted. And then suddenly there is quite a bit of activity, and there are key people who are driving GRC. And it's a seasonal thing within IT, whereby if any of your key people who are driving GRC moves on from one organization to another, you need to pick up the broken pieces again. So the sustenance of a GRC is too much people dependent. That's another pain area which a lot of CISOs share with me. And the third area is that they are never able to present something with very, very confidence to the board in terms of where we are. Yes, the board knows that ultimately you will get there in terms of meeting the compliance, but where we are in the middle, how much percentage is completed, how much is still pending, are there any showstoppers? A lot of those things are kind of more tribal knowledge and a bit of gut feel, doesn't have too much numbers around it. Those were some of the key pain areas, and having worked in this industry for like 7-10 years, more than 10 years within giving these solutions to our customers, we envisage this solution, which I would like to give you a quick walkthrough around this. But if there are any questions or any particular things, please feel free to interject. I would like to keep this session as much interactive as required. I will share my screen to give you a quick. So we can start with that. Probably I will talk about this topic in 5-7 minutes about some of this persistent pain areas within IT and the cyber GRC, how the design part of it in terms of how we have addressed some of these things. So these are some of the areas which I will touch base upon over the next 10 minutes of my presentation. And then I will ask Mani to give you a quick insight into our solution, and we can take your questions as we go. So the first thing what we do with this particular solution is we design your environment for the cyber GRC. So what are your basic requirements, what industry standards you follow, whether you are doing a PCI or a SEBI or a SAMA, or depending upon what is your regulatory environment, what are your cycle times for regulatory environments, what are the key roles and departments which needs to follow this, where is the data, what are the risks, what is the control. So one solution, whether it is online or on-prem, can we create a GRC environment, an ecosystem within your organization. The second aspect which we actually provide as a ready-made option in this solution is for any particular regulations and industry, there is a pre-packed content with these are the policies, these are the standards, these are the operational controls, these are the KPIs which it needs to meet. So all that is a pre-packed content which can be just it can be taken and it can be followed, so that the organization departments exactly know what they need to do. At the same time, as a part of changing regulations, if there are new controls being introduced, then our backend team keeps on doing quarterly updates for this one, or if there is a new change, then we also do an emergency release for the new standards. There's a very important aspect in the third option, which we call as the federated data library. So all your KPIs and your policies, any particular notifications, any particular kind of reports, any particular kind of evidences and things like that, all gets logged up into this solution as on objects within the database, which is available as a federated library for various different departments to be taken as on when needed, not just in the current year, but on future course for next years, so that your compliance and your governance and risk management really moves on from where it was last year, because this is all pure play, transparently available within the system. The last three kind of things, doing an online system-based IT risk and cyber policy management. So whatever are your policies, if you need 20 or 30 of those policies with our pre-packed content, which is already available, this policy can be in a plan do review mode to keep on reviewing and updating your policies, keep on doing and generating your IT risk registers in a workflow-based environment. And that workflow-based environment is very, very useful in the second last point, whereby doing compliance and control assessment. So a standard is nothing but a regulatory framework of quite a bit of controls, operational controls, which needs to be there. And our thinking process is that there should be a regular control assessments for the cyber security processes and policies to keep on collecting evidences. So not just meeting it as a seasonal thing for the audit, but if you do that exercise every quarterly or at least once in 6 months, the control assessments become more mature, your policies become more mature, the control testing happens, and that helps in very good way of doing the evidence management, so that at the time of audit, it is very, very seamless, because all these control assessments will give pointers to the evidences and the policies that this is all done, and the audit becomes very, very seamless. Some of the platform features is the real-time visibility and continuous control monitoring facilitation. So in a Kanban view, on a plan do review mode, this can continue to be done with very, very ease, like clicks of button and collection of documents. We have inbuilt IT risk, vulnerability, and audit management within the tool, so that all the length and breadth of managing your IT risk, integrating this solution with any of the vulnerability management solutions, what you're using, all that features are available. As I mentioned earlier, the federated model of doc repository creates a good repository for future use in a reusable mode. Because of the automation, workflow, configuration things, all the workflow triggers, calendar, whether any meetings needs to happen, anything which is overdue, all that happens within the system, which obviously gives a good view around the dashboards and reports, which can be shown live and in terms of what is missing, what is happening. So these are some of the features of the platform. Obviously, I mean, this solution can be, we have ready API integration and connectors to Qualys, Rapid, ServiceNow, Tenable, BMC. And if you are using any other things, maybe SCCM or any other SIM or any particular thing for your SIM, SOC vulnerabilities and anything, your asset management or your key things, this solution is built on microservices, open source platform, and our team keeps on enhancing the API integrations and the connections to any of your existing solutions, so that make it more and more seamless, less and less manual. Every framework and standards what we cover is a simple configurational change within the system. So the system is inbuilt for PCI, GDPR, Indian banking, the SAMA, Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority, ISO standards, and you can create your own custom standards. One of our existing customers uses COMPLYment for an internal IT audit, which happens for them every alternate months. So they have created their own custom operational controls. The benefit part of it, with having a central thing, I mean, we have seen that there is a, because this is so much up in the face, there is a good decrease in the, there is a good effort on the management of IT and cyber security risk, which generally has gone down. I feel much more comfortable and stronger in ensuring that I am compliant and my regulatory part is not an issue anymore, which is an increasingly becoming a boardroom topic. And because the workflow thing, it is easier and efficient to manage compliance on time rather than having a seasonal effort around. That's a bit of an overview around what we do and what is the solution of COMPLYment overall. How does it cater to the growing needs of the cyber GRC? I hand it over to Mani to give you the next 10-12 minutes of the demo part of the tool to give you an insight. Meanwhile, while Mani picks up his screen, if there is any question of any kind, then I'm happy to take up so far.
Yes, Mr. Anand, there is one question from the audience. The question is, pre-packed contents, are there EU or international frameworks such as ISO 27001 to NIST CSF?
Yes, I think I covered that in one of the presentations. So ISO 27001, GDPR, NIST, NCA, all these standards with pre-packed content is available.
Thank you. Mr. Mani, you can
Yes.
Yeah, so
Thank you,
while
Anant.
Mani is starting, just a quick view. So while this is built on open source scalable architecture with microservices, we have both the options available. We have hosted it on our good, secure cloud environment, but a lot of organizations prefer to use it in their own data center. So both options of these solutions are available. Over to you, Mani.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Let me walk you through COMPLYment solution for better understanding on how it can help your organization to manage your IT GRC. I don't want to waste your time. Let's directly move on to the solution. I hope everyone can able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Once you log in, this is the first page of the solution. Here you can able to see the list of standards already we have predefined. Here you can able to see almost 15 standards. You can able to see here like ISO 27001, CMMC, GDPR, like that. You can able to see all the 15 available standards here itself. It's nothing but it's a master copy. What you can do, you can clone any of the standards, what standards your organization is following. You can clone it and you can edit it according to your organization structure. Like example, some controls will be not applicable, some controls will be applicable. So some controls you have to do a small customizable. So everything you can able to do after cloning a standard. That is cloning a standard.
Right. So
and
the idea here is that everybody, let's say, needs to get ISO 27001, but some operational controls may apply to a certain business, some operation controls may not apply. But from a particular thing, we have kind of created the operational controls in a way that some of them which are absolutely mandatory, nobody can customize it, but some of them are optional. Those optional ones, if they are not applicable to you, then you can customize them to your standard, so that you create a balancing of not overdoing, but doing absolutely the right things to meet your regulatory framework. This is the one-time activity to create the standard, clone the standard as per your own business environment.
yes, right. And after that, we have one more thing.
Mani,
like
you should
create...
show and go into one of the detail to show.
Yes.
Maybe pick up ISO 27001.
Yes. This is a clone standard. You can able to see here a 5.1.1. For example, this control is mandatory for you. You can select this one. For example, if this control is not applicable for you, you can able to unselect this one. For example, if you have to make this control as a mandatory, no one should not edit it. You can go here and you can make it as mandatory. Then you can see. Now this control is a mandatory. Now this control will be reflect to the auditing time. Now no one cannot edit this controls. This is a customized standard. And one more option we have is create a proprietary standard. It's nothing but some organization, they have their own standards and they have own their controls, everything. Those things you can add directly, come here and you can add your own customized standard. If you have any checklist, monthly basis checklist you have, you can able to create those things also by using a create a proprietary standard here. For the standards. Next, we are moving to the IT assets. Here we have an option to add a create a IT assets. Create IT asset is nothing but we are going to add all the critical assets which all are in our organization. We are going to add all the critical assets by adding one by one, or otherwise if you want to use bulk upload option also, it's good. You have to download a CSV file and you have to edit it and you have to upload it. Then the system will be automatically refreshed and it will be shown under the IT asset management. Here you can able to see all the assets which you have been added to the system. Once you expand this, you can able to see all the brief explanation about what is that asset type, from what is that asset OS, asset custodian, asset manufacturer, location, where it is coming. Everything you can able to see here once you expand this one. Once you added the asset, it will directly go to the approve asset. Here, your manager or senior level person have to be accepted whether this is really a critical asset or not. Why we are adding those things means we are going to do a risk management for those critical assets. What are the assets we have added? Everything will come under the IT risk management asset. For example, here we have IT risk assessment. Here we are going to create a new cycle by giving IT risk assessment name, start date and end date, risk assessor. What is that asset type? What are the asset type we have been created in our system? Everything it will be shows here. For example, I'm selecting endpoints. You can able to see what are the endpoints have been added to the system. Laptop, desktop, firewall, everything. Once you select the laptop, for that endpoint, what are the possible risk will be there? Everything it will be shown in the system. If you want to select, for example, ransom paid to hackers, if you want to select, you can select it. Or otherwise, any other new risk is that is not showing in the list, you can directly go to the add new risk and you can add those things also. This will be comes under IT risk asset assessment. Next, after identifying the risk, we are going for the identification stage. Identification stage is nothing but we are going to identify there, what are the threat will be there. When this risk has been identified, you can select it. What is the risk source, whether it's external or internal, what is the likelihood of impact, everything we are going to select here. For example, likelihood of threat is very high and impact on CAA is high. Now risk meter will change automatically according to the IT risk management matrix we are saved. Whether we save 3x3 matrix, according to that it will be changed. If it's a 5x5 matrix, according to that it will be changed automatically. Once identification is completed, we are going to the mitigation part. Here we are going to give how we are going to mitigate and who is the responsible person for that to mitigate. Everything we are going to select here. And we can, beauty is we can able to map the controls also. Then we are going to select the treatment, whether it's avoid, accept, mitigate, or transfer, we are going to do it, and who is the risk owner and what is the mitigation action we can give it. All the information we are filling here. Then finally, we are going to the review part. Here, you can able to review what are the risks has been identified, whether those things have been mitigated or not. This is the Kanban view page. For example, one assessment I have for risk assessor Q2. We have identified 2 risks. The 2 risks also comes under risk mitigation only. No, for the ransom paid to hackers, what is that mitigation action? It will be shows. What is the resources required? Also, it will be shown. As per the mitigation action, we can mitigate those things and we can attach the work paper also here itself. Work paper is nothing but it's kind of evidence. It may be a screenshot, PDF, or Word format, whatever it will be, system will be accepted. Once evidence has been uploaded, we are going to send back to the risk reviewer, who is going to review those things. If you see, come back and see, now the task has been moved to the risk reviewer page. Risk reviewer, what he will do, he will review all the evidences, and if he is satisfied only, he will fill the residual risk. What is that next? After the mitigation, what is the residual risk? He will fill everything. What is the recent likelihood of trend impact on CA? He will fill it, and after that only he will make it as mitigate. Or otherwise, for example, if he is seeing the evidences and he is not satisfied, he will send back to the risk mitigation itself. This will be comes under the IT risk asset reviewer. Next, we are moving to the register. Register is nothing but what are the risks have been identified. Everything you can able to see here. What is that risk? What is that level, criticality level? Everything you can able to see here itself. Once you expand, you can able to see the more explanation about that risk. What is the criticality level? When this risk has been identified? Who is the owner? What is the mitigation recommendation? Status, control, everything you can able to see here itself. And also, if you want to show your management like that, you can able to download the CSV file also. And if you want to show as a PDF file, you can able to download PDF also. That one beauty in the IT risk asset register. The one more beauty we have is under risk management, we have a both process risk management also we have, and also we have a asset based risk management also. The steps will be same what I shown for the asset, but the difference will be here is here we are going to identify the risk for the process only. That will be the difference. Remaining the steps will be same only. Next, we are moving to the IT policies. One more module. Here you can, once you go to the create policies, here you can able to see the list of policies already we have been predefined in the system. It's almost 100 policies are predefined in the system. If you want to use any one of our policies, you can directly clone it and you can edit it according to your organization. For example, I have opened the data sharing policy. You can able to see what is that header, introduction, what is that body will comes under. The small minor changes you have to edit it. After editing, once you cloned itself, it will directly come to the policy draft. After editing, he can come here and he can review the policy, whether everything has been correct or not. Then only after that only he will send to the policy reviewer stage. By selecting the due date, he will send to the policy reviewer. Now policy reviewer will review all the policies, whether it's correct or wrong or any minor changes is there or not. If it is there, he will send back to the policy draft, or otherwise he will be approved. If any correction is there, he can give those correction in the command box itself. Like body 3.1, what are the changes is that he can mention here itself. You don't want to send any mails or you don't want to directly, you can work here itself. Whichever the thing is there, we can work on that same module page itself.
One of the points which I wanted to mention here to all of you is that both the options, I mean, depending upon where your organization is on the maturity level of cyber GRC, both the options are available for this particular solution to be used by your own team to mature your GRC side of things. If you need to have a consultant approach, we have a team of close to 40 plus cyber GRC consultants. If you need it as a software as a service, software plus the service, that option is also available for one of our consultants to work with you to get your entire GRC setup not just done, but being run for a period of time so that your team gets a hang of it and then they can start to operate it in a build, operate, transfer mode as well. So the objective is to solve the problem and get the entire data and the environment design here, and train the team is there from an implementation perspective, but making it run over a period of, let's say, 3 months or 6 months or 1 year, obviously at a small minor additional cost, to get your team fully up to speed in probably one entire cycle of a yearly GRC is also an option which we have added to this particular software as a service solution, so that the maturity comes through over a period of time. Over to you, Manu.
Yes. Now, once you go to the approve and publish policy, here you can able to see what are the policies we have been cloned and under which stage it was, whether that policy is approved or not, whether that policy is published or not. Everything you can able to see. What are the policy in your organization? Everything you can able to see in the approve and publish policy itself. Once the policy is published, you can download that PDF file also, and you can use it. This is one thing in the IT policy. Now, what are the policy has been published? Those things we can do a policy testing also under the IT policy testing module, because most of the organization, they are not doing the correct, what are the policies published, they are not doing the correct testing levels. Here we can do those things also by monitoring everything. What are we can map. For example, I will open one cycle which I have been already cloned. For this asset management, already this policy has been published. Now that asset management policy has been mapped to this many controls. Now we are going to attach the evidence for that all the controls which have been already mapped. Then after attaching for everything, we are sending to the reviewer. The same Kanban view page will be comes here. The beauty is we can able to track everything, and we can do a proper testing for all the policies which have been published. Now moving to the vulnerability management. Here, apart from the scanning part, we can do everything. We can track everything. We can do who is doing everything. We can manage here itself. For example, I have created one BAQ3. Here, we want to upload a report. After creating the cycle, we have to upload a report. The one more thing is, as Anant told, we have been integrated with the Qualys and Nessus. If you are using Qualys and Nessus for your scanning, VS scanning, you can directly download your CSV file from the Qualys or Nessus, then directly come here and you can upload it. Then the system will automatically refresh and it will show you what are the vulnerabilities is there, what is that IP.
So what we are talking about is both the options are available. If there is a manual thing, then through the CSV file it can be done. But if there is an auto thing, then through the administrative screen of COMPLYment, we do an API based integration so that whatever getting scanned is automatically getting pulled through here, and through email notifications it comes through. So both options are available, automatic and manual.
Yes. If you want to do manual, you want to download our CSV file and you want to edit what are the vulnerability you want to add everything. And if you need automatic, you can directly upload a report if you're using Qualys and Nessus. How it will be shown, I will show here. I will collapse. For example, this internal IP, we have find this two vulnerability. Nessus has been identified this two vulnerability. If you expand this, you can able to see all the information. What is that affected IPs? What is that CVE code description? What is that mitigation recommendation? What are the information we are gathering from the Nessus report? Everything will be added here. Then after that, we are going to add the treatment. Then treatment is nothing but whether we are going to avoid, accept, mitigate, or transfer, that is. Then we are going to map the controls and who is the person to mitigate this vulnerability. We are fixing and we are giving the target date. Then we are saving that. Like that, we are going to do for everything how many vulnerability has been identified. Once this is done, it will go to the mitigation part. Like same as a Kanban view page previously shown, everything will come under evidence collection one by one as per the recommendation, like Nessus report given. It will they will mitigate those things and it will be moved to the evidence reviewer. Then after that evidence reviewer is approved, it will go to the mitigated page. This will be comes under the vulnerability management, and we have one more module like third-party risk management. The steps will be same for the vulnerability management and third-party risk management. The only difference is here we are going to do risk management for the third party, who are all the supplier for us. We are going to create a cycle. Who is that supplier? What is their name, time, email ID, everything we are saving, and we are going to do a review. What other risk has been identified? We are going to mitigate those things in the third-party risk assessment. Now, finally, I will come to the unified compliance and audit. This is the main module. First, we will go to the create audit. Here, we are going to create a new audit cycle by selecting which standard and who is the risk owner. Everything we are typing here, and we are creating a cycle. For example, I have created one audit 2022. Once that is created, once I go to the review page, what are the controls comes under standard? Everything will comes under the gap analysis. Here you can able to see the list of 5 stages: gap analysis, gap remediation, security manager review, ready for auditor review, and approved. As soon as we create the cycle, all the controls which are comes under that standard, everything will comes under gap analysis. Now what we want to do, we want to be add a due date when they are going to mitigate those controls, and when who is the responsible person for that controls to do. Now we have a option like both also. By manually also you want to do, you can open one by one control and you can set a due date and you can add who is the user for this control to do. Or otherwise, if you want automatic kind of bulk upload options also we have. Like as an option here, like bulk upload. You have to download our CSV file and you can edit it due date, and who you can give the email ID who is the owner for that control. Then after that you can upload that CSV file, then system will automatically refresh and it will show you who is a person and what is the due date. And one more beauty is after assigning everything, the person will get an Outlook notification like this task has been identified. Before that we have to do, this is a mitigation recommendation, everything it will be shown here. It's in the throat mail also. Now the person will come here and he will attach the evidences, going to the evidence evaluation, and he can able to add the evidences. It may be a PDF or screenshot, Word, everything, whatever it will be, they can able to attach all the evidences, and he can send for the security manager review. What evidences he can upload it, security manager will review it. Once it's sent to the security manager has a 2 options, whether he can send to the auditor or otherwise he will again send back to the remediation itself. Like for example, if I click send for remediation, it will ask command why we are sending. Like we can send us major evidence is missing or what evidences you are expecting. That command you can mention here and you can send it. Then the person also will get an idea, okay, this evidence is needed kind of thing, and he will upload the proper evidences. And one more thing, we can create a meeting also. If you want to create any meeting for this control, we can create also by repeating every day, weekly basis, we can do everything here itself. This will comes under the gap analysis and remediation. The one more beauty is we have a compliance calendar. What it is, that means according to our due date, according to our meeting schedule we have been created, according to that, the compliance calendar will be updated and it will notify us. For example, today I have 2 tasks. Information systems audit controls, 1 task is there, and management of technical vulnerability there. This 2 tasks I have to close today itself. So the system will notify you also, like 2 tasks have to close today itself, like that. Once you click this thing, it will directly go to the task and you can upload the evidences and you can send for the security manager. Now, what are the things we have been done here throughout all the standards, IT assets, risk management, everything. Now, if you want to see a real-time dashboard, how much it's completed, everything, you can able to see here itself. Right side, you can able to select the module, which module dashboard you want to show. if you can select here itself. For example, I'm selecting IT asset. You can able to see here how many total asset is there, what is the asset category, what is the asset criticality in a real time dashboard thing. You can able to see here itself. Below that, you can able to see the information kind of a report thing. If you want to download the CSV file, and in the CSV file, what are the information will come in, what is the asset type, what are the information we have gathered, everything it will comes under the CSV file. You can download those CSV file also. Like that, you can able to see for all the modules. For example, risk management, you want to see, selecting the assessment, you can able to see what are the total asset is there, what is at risk, everything you can able to see here itself. So I go to unified compliance. Currently active audit is 3. 0 is completed, 3 is incomplete. What is the 3 incomplete? You can able to see here itself. How much audit progress has completed? Still only 3% is completed. It will give you a real-time visibility, and you can show your management like this much only have completed, this other things are pending, what are the key areas we have thing, everything you can able to see here itself. Stage-wise status. Below that, it will show you the report as well as. If you have any queries or any doubt, please drop your question in the chat box. We will be happy to answer your questions also.
Or you can ask the questions directly in this interactive session, because
yes,
we're almost pretty much wanted to give you a glimpse, I mean, in terms of what the COMPLYment is. But the objective was primarily to talk and give you an understanding about the various different moving parts of the overall cyber GRC ecosystem, which is required to manage, and it changes as per industry sectors in banking and finance, and in stockbroking and asset management, or whether the fintech companies, it changes to hospitals, and to how food companies operate, to how pharmaceutical companies operate. So the configurability and the flexibility of the solution, along with trying to make it easier with pre-packed content, with correlation of events, with integration with your existing backend systems. This particular area can be easily managed, whether you use cloud or on-prem options for this. And that's an endeavor by us, by learning the lessons over the last 8 to 10 years, to kind of take the problem in its head, to have a self-sustaining solution like this, which can add value. So questions, concerns, clarifications, any other information needed, we'll be happy to provide further information.
Mr. Anand, there is a question from the audience. It is from Simone Signalini. And the question is, where are the data stored? For example, EU clients should maintain data in the EU.
So we have, so as I said, I mean, you can have both the options. For example, we have multiple clouds which are physically operating in multiple countries and continents. And we have pretty much the COMPLYment solution hosted across at least 5 different cloud, physically cloud, Singapore, India, Dubai. There is one which is hosted in London. There is one which is hosted in Denmark. There is one which is hosted in Philadelphia. So there is a physically data constraint around any particular geographic region is already enabled. When we are doing compliance, we know this compliance requirement. So Simone, we have a European instance of the cloud, and we segregate physically what data is stored in where. That is for the cloud option. If you have your own cloud option and your own data center, you can also choose to have an on-prem deployment in your control.
Thank you, Mr. Anant. And Simone, I hope the question is answered. There is another question, Mr. Anant. And the question is, how can you develop an integrated approach to IT GRC?
No, I don't think that there is the IT GRC itself kind of an abstract topic whereby there are multiple people, multiple actors involved. It's the regulatory body within a particular country, and then there is an industry body within which the industry also matures and evolves, and then there is business operations within a particular organization. There is an IT and a cyber operations within a particular environment, within a particular organization, and there is dependency on all three or four of them. Now, the other fact is that the idea of cyber compliance should not be restrictive. It should be more open to make it easier to do business, but in a secured way, in a compliance way. So a full 100% integration, the technology has to evolve, but what is in our control is that we can have all in one place with a workflow driven environment, integrating with already existing solutions, keeping a check on what is the industry. For example, if the banking regulatory body in India, it does not release an online feed. It releases a document, and that document has to be synthesized and operational controls has to be added. So there will always be some things manual, but we've tried to make it as much integrated and automated in COMPLYment. But I think we are still probably at anywhere between 75 to 80% in our integration journey.
Thank you, Mr. Anand.
Yeah, there's one more question. So as a leader, how do you convince your people to take risk management more seriously? Like, can you share an example of where you have done so personally?
There are 2-3 options. First of all, in any, interesting question though. IT risk management generally is top driven, and then from a good cyber security practice, a lot of user awareness sessions are conducted by a lot of by the security team in a lot of organizations. So there is a top-down approach, and then there is a bottoms-up approach. But the IT risk management is generally done in closed pockets of the senior management within IT and the cyber security function, which really looks at that. And I think your question is more leading into how can we induce more quality into the IT risk management. And that's where we have kind of standardized the theory around looking at it not just from an asset or a process based, but looking at it from what are the various vulnerabilities which may exist. Those vulnerabilities can give what kind of threats, and are those any vulnerabilities and threats prevailing in our environment, and then correlating it with a particular asset class or particular standard control actually gives us a very, very meaningful IT risk environment.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think it's time for us to wind up. Now, that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you, Mr. Anant and Mr. Manikandan, for joining us today. Thank you for your valuable time.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would also like to thank everyone in the audience, and we'll send a follow-up email with some of the presentations and with our contact numbers. And if anybody has any question, please feel free to revert back and we will close the loop there. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and thanks for your time for this session. And any feedback or anything, please share it with us. Thank you.